Hi! In the other video you saw that I got a radio in a dumpster, and I had to return my wheel that I bought on the same day from the sports store, and because it has the wrong dimensions, so I had the wrong labels. I thought I had got the right wheel, but it was a little bit larger than the tires. And we passed the dumpster again, and I saw something that looked like PlayStation controllers, but they were really just it says Cytec, I think, in here. Cytec, and it has USB cords. So these are PC gaming stuff, I think. And I have one of those before, and they are just rebranded type though. So there were two of these. I don't know if they work, but I hope. And also, I've used this before for playing Test Drive 3 Unlimited, and the problem there is that when you're turning the steering wheel, then they are quite twitchy. So if you just do this slowly, then nothing happens, and suddenly, whoop, the whole wheel turns all the way. So, do you guys know anything I can play on the PC that uses controllers like this? That would be really cool to try something. Yeah, and also in the dumpster, it was this Netgear Pro Save 8-port gigabit desktop switch. And it looks pretty awesome, and it has never been opened. It's plastic all on it. Somebody has just put it there. I don't get it. But that's nice for me. I do have a 1 gigabit switch 4-port. I think it's 4-port. Yeah. So yeah, so that's great. Come in handy. Yeah, and I've also been doing some testing on this power saver. It's not a power saver, it's a Commodore saver. It's supposed to save this guy here. If it's already 5 volt and the relay is on and it's powering the Commodore, then you get the fault. Then what happens then? I was measuring how long does it take. So here we have the output of the regulator, and this is output of the relay that goes to the Commodore. So you can see this is 0 and this is 5 volt, and here we have 12 volts. So basically what I did, it's actually maybe the same thing that happens in the power supply itself, because in the power supply you have a fixed 5 volt regulator, and they probably have like 10 volts coming in on it, or 11 or 12, and then it's regulated to 5 volt. And when you get a fault, you can have a open circuit or you can have a short, and it's the short circuit that concerns us, because then you get like 12 volts on the output of the regulator, and you can destroy all the chips, or not all of them, but all of them that is connected to the 5 volt rail anyway. Anyway, so what I did here is that I basically short the input and the output of the regulator, as if the regulator itself is shorting itself out. So here you can see that's exactly what happens. It jumps up from 5 volt to 12 volt, and so does the output to the Commodore. And for how long? That's what I wanted to know. So this is like 1 millisecond per division. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4.2 milliseconds. And I think I don't like this at all. 12 volt on the output. They were supposed to protect their circuits. And I think, okay, 4 milliseconds isn't long, but you do actually get to 12 volt, and stuff can happen pretty fast. Anyway, so I was thinking, maybe let's just go for the solid state version. Let's drop the relay. The solid state version much sexier, smaller, faster, cheaper actually. So why not just do that then? And maybe it turns out so fast that it doesn't rise even. And also another thing, this one rises to 12 volt pretty fast, but I don't have this attached this smoothing caps that's in the power supply. Maybe I should do that to simulate it properly. So, and add a resistor on the input so to simulate the resistance in the transformer, so we get a proper proper rise time here, because this is maybe much faster than it actually happens in real time. But yeah, maybe we can also keep this fast and see what actually happens here to begin with, and then we'll try and simulate the real power supply soon. Yeah, so that's that, and also yeah, back to the dumpster diving. We also went to Toys R Us. Donkey Kong Jr. I had to open this before the video, of course. So. So these games they have the same feel that the original ones back in the day had, I think. That's great. It's like hand-drawn characters. And we also got Mario's Cement Factory. I haven't tried that one yet. It looks pretty cool also. So yeah, I saw you guys had it, so yeah, I wanted to have one myself. Strapfix board. That's something I want to test there, because I had an interesting discussion with Mark, and him or Lactobacchus Prime on his channel when he showed the Commodore 64 Reloaded board. Even the composite signal looks pretty great, and also I've seen on Causal Commodore 64 channel, he's a Danish guy, and he also has a C64 Reloaded board, and the picture looks excellent on his also, because I think he records his TV. So I was thinking, what's so special about that? And yeah, this is our Strapfix circuit, and it's based on the Commodore circuit. And Mark mentioned that separation might be better between the Luma and the Chroma. And I was thinking, well, that's very interesting, because maybe that's the case. So, and if you've seen our circuit, when we mix the Chroma and the Luma to get the composite, we do get some bleeding of the Chroma through here out to our Luma. So, because in our simulations earlier we saw that it wasn't perfect. But the thing is that the Commodore 64 Reloaded board, they have released a schematic, and that's great. And and you can see that it's in A1 format. So that's difficult to print, but it's perfect for screen, because then you get everything in one place, and you can simply just zoom in whatever you want. It does have some limitations. They have omitted some of the values on the power supply section. Maybe it's up here. I haven't looked at this yet. And this is a switch mode power supply, so yeah, that's okay. We don't need that right now. So what we want to look at is this color condition, picture signals. And before looking at the Luma and the Chroma, I find that this is very interesting what they have done on the power circuitry here. Look at the seriousness they have here. The serious amount of decoupling here on the VCC and the VDD. So VCC, that's the 5V circuitry, and VDD, that's the 5 or 12V. And here you can see they have a jumper. So you can select VCC, that is 5V, or 12V. Anyway, so and that is depends which chip you have. If you have the newer HMOS or CMOS, I think that's HMOS and CMOS, or at least they require different power. Anyway, that's not what I'm on about here. It's you can see they have to get the power VCC here, you can see this net here is pretty large. All these capacitors are in parallel, as you can see. This one goes to ground, these goes to ground, these goes to ground, and these goes to ground. And the VCC comes from here and supplies this large net through a inductor, and the same goes here, the same technique. But here they have an additional ferrite bead too. So yeah, I think it's because they don't want... actually, that's very interesting, because if this is the 12-volt part, then I think that's for the analog amplification inside the chip. And if that part isn't clean, then probably you will have noise on the output because of the power rail. Anyway, and when you're talking about luma and chroma separation, you need a stable power source, I think, because one thing is that luma bleeds into the chroma via the conditioning, but as we know, signals can couple through the power net. And I think that's maybe what's happening in the other circuits that we have looked at. But here they have a proper decoupling, or so it seems. And also the picture is excellent, so there's something going on there. I think maybe this has something to do with it. But if we look even further, we see that the chroma here is different than the one that we have. So if you look at here, they have the 1K pull down, because this is an open emitter or open drain. I think it's open drain, and that means you have to pull it down to make it work. So instead of taking the signal further here after the pull down, they divide it in two and then feed it through, and they don't have the inductor and capacitor bandpass filtering that we had. So that's difference. It's more straightforward. And here's the one that we are using, or the one that Commodore also used. Actually, the Commodore used several different modulator designs, but here's one of them. And basically it's the same, the division here. If you set the pop meter in the middle, we have the same input circuitry, but they don't have the bandpass and the biasing. But if you drop all that part here, and this one also, you just feed it up here, and say this is 510 and this is 510, then you have the same circuit. So yeah, it's much simpler, and as we see, the picture is pretty well, so yeah. And I have actually tried to short circuit this in on my own breadboard here. So and you can see that the picture changes a little bit. It's difficult to describe what happens, but maybe they don't need that in the new Reloaded board, because they have such excellent filtering and modern PCB design. So, and strong power nets. Yeah. And another thing, how do they mix the composite? Well, in this circuit, you can see that the luma comes out here, but it is also fed down here with this sort of chroma trap, such that the chroma from here doesn't come back into the luma. However, the chroma is mixed with the luma and you can get composite. But they don't use that trap technique at all. If you see here, it's the same circuit that we have. You can ignore that D4, because that's more like a... they have a package with 2 diodes, so they're only using one. But it's the same circuit, except that they have a ferrite bead though. So this is the luma. But what they are doing, they are having a separate transistor for the composite. So they are making luma here again, but then they are mixing it with the chroma here. So, but then I was thinking, maybe they are bleeding some luma into the chroma instead. But maybe that's not a problem. I don't know. Anyways, that was some interesting things that I've found lately. So I hope you liked the video, and I will come with another video soon with an update on the Commodore Saver, and also a video that finalizes the layout of the modulator replacement graphics board, such that we can finally get an order some prototypes for it. Yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.